It's a Kaguya's Top Gal tweet, so you probably already seen it.
Yeah.
The one making fun of that. So what it did is it reminded me of when he won the first time,
Hmm.
and they now again everyone obviously knew that something was wrong with it because the Trump robot that they made looked really fucking weird. It really didn't look like him, and everyone was like, "What the hell's going on?" So like again, immediately everybody had a suspicion. And they said, "Oh, geez, stop! Stop with your conspiracy theories, blah blah blah." Well, nobody said anything because it had been so long. But apparently, 2 years ago, an anonymous Disney employee, you might even call it a whistleblower, came forward and he said, "I was an Imagineer, and yes, I can in fact confirm we did create the Hillary bot, fully expecting her to win, and we had invested so much resources and time into the creation of that Hillary bot that we just had to do our best to try to make it look like Trump."
Hmm.
And if you actually look at some pictures of that robot and Hillary side by side, they did an amazing job at making it look like Hillary. So good job to them. But oopsie. That's never good.
So you actually just decided to reveal your power level and get banned by this guy?
Yes. Uh, um, I didn't expect that because I trolled him the last time he talked about it too. But the extent of my trolling, he didn't post my comment. But I think it's because he was feeling smug, like, oh well, you're gonna lose anyway, so you'll find out. But he's obviously so incredibly upset over this whole thing that he just straight up banned my IP. I even tried on my phone, and that's how I know it was an IP ban. And I'm like, that guy is pretty upset, and I'm sitting there like, I don't think there is an American who ever lived who was upset about the results of an election that occurred in Australia. So
Mm-hmm.
why is the reverse true? Why does it bother you that much? It doesn't affect your life any.
Hey, Aaron.
But
Hey,
yeah,
Austin.
I DM'd you a comparison so you can see for
Yeah.
yourself.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
Anyway, you can join the session anytime you want to. It's up and running.
I'll hop in a second. With this one, it's even more glaringly obvious.
Mm, yeah,
The jowls, man. Trump doesn't have those jowls.
absolutely. So again, I don't know Shrek all that well. Is this like the gingerbread house or
Check it
something?
out in just a second.
Mhm. You've got the
While I'm waiting
pumpkin.
for the, I'll be able to say when I get in there. Just loading up the game right now
Mhm.
and sharing memes in the meantime.
So later, when you get the opportunity to, can you send me whatever it was this guy said that you were laughing at so hard?
Oh, well, that's the difficult thing is I can't do it on my PC.
Dude, just get one of those
Um,
extensions for Chrome that acts as a VPN.
well, here's hoping it works.
I used to use Ola VPN or whatever it's called. Arizona was won by Trump 4 days ago, Austin. I have no idea why the networks took so long to acknowledge what was obviously going to happen.
Yeah, it's really concerning for a lot of different reasons. But The biggest reason that it's concerning is that if they're receiving ballots that are not marked for president, but they're only ballots for the Senate race, then why does it take them that long to come out with the results of the presidential race when half these ballots don't even have a vote for president on them?
Yeah, I imagine that even though Lake lost, Republicans won everywhere up and down the Arizona ballot, like in terms of like local stuff. So they will probably
Yeah.
move to implement Florida's system of handling elections so they can count as fast as Florida.
Well, I mean, that is almost certainly going to happen. But the big one is going to be, of course, when Trump actually gets into office, and he's going to be like, "This is about as fake as a $3 bill," and then he does a quick and easy, because they try to do that exact same shit after 2020 and 2022 in Arizona, but considering that the wrong people were in charge, all those investigations just got stonewalled up until the point where they're sitting now, which is we'll deal with it after the results of this election. And it's like, okay, well, you're right. Obviously, you can't undo the last 4 years, but that's that's going to be one of the things that happens, as the Trump goes and does all these things. It doesn't matter that people say, oh, it's just political and it's just about his ego and blah, 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 blah. None of that shit matters. You know, what they're going to do is just say, yeah, well, they fucking cheated, so there's the asterisk that goes down in history, so that Donald Trump is actually the 45th, 46th, and 47th president of the United States, and just invalidate anything that Biden was a part of. Easy peasy. So yeah, you can never get those 4 years back, unfortunately.
I mean, this is the better timeline, though. Let's be real here. And
Yeah, but try telling that to January 6th prisoners.
mhm.
That's like Steve Bannon. You know, yeah, you're right. This is a better timeline, but still, fucking really upsetting. Okay, so this location that we're in right here. I can tell you, this is Shrek's house. This
Oh,
is his little swamp hut. We could probably find the sign somewhere that says, "Oh no, there's candy canes everywhere." So maybe this isn't Shrek's.
yeah. I thought Shrek's hut was smaller than this. I thought this is too nice
Unless it was
for
in a
for
swamp.
Shrek.
I don't understand the Chris. Look, what I would say is I've never seen any of the Shrek stuff that has to do with Christmas.
Hmm.
So I got no idea what the fuck this is from. But this is obviously Christmas related because look at the fucking candy canes.
Well, if you hit escape, it says Hansel's Honeymoon Hideaway of Hansel and Gretel.
Oh
So it.
yeah. Yeah, I know that Hansel and Gretel were a big part of a Shrek movie, but not one that I've seen.
Mhm.
To be fair, I've only seen the first and second Shrek movies.
Those are the
So,
ones I have seen. Yeah.
and like I was talking about the other day when we went over the franchise, there's like 8 fucking Shrek-related movies,
Hmm.
or real ones, and then another 4 short movies, which are like hour-long TV specials
Hmm.
kind of deal. Oh, that's going to be annoying as fuck. There's a sound effect when you're over here, right where I'm standing,
Hmm.
where occasionally you will hear an insect buzzing.
Hmm.
So that is highly annoying to me because you hear an insect buzzing around in your ear. So I'm just going to mute the game
I've
and
had the
turn
game
all
on
of the
mute for a
sound off.
long time. For me, the game's been on mute for like ever since we started playing it because the sound of the water is so loud.
Yes, the sound is very loud. However, I had it not on mute, but just really low
Hmm.
because I did like some of the ambience. But that, yeah, that just pisses me off.
So the most likely outcome now is 221 House seats.
Is that enough for a majority?
Yes, by 3.
Okay,
218
then
is
yeah,
what you
that's
need for a
fine.
majority. It should be just enough to do what you need to do. May not
Well,
be.
they're going to be fucked because, like, the only thing that you need is for Trump to get into office. And once he does, he says, okay, now let's audit those election results. And, oh, wouldn't you know, we got to overturn all of this crazy shit. Whoopsie doodle. They're going to be like, no, you can't do that. That's authoritarian. And he's all like, you literally tried to have me killed. I don't fucking care.
That's true. There are a lot of states that have signed this pact that says they pledge to give their electoral votes to whoever wins the popular vote. Like, I think Colorado has it, Washington State has it. So,
Every blue state has, and when I say blue state, I mean the state that allegedly voted for Biden.
Mhm,
And Kamala here, except for Virginia.
mhm.
All
That'd be
the other
funny as
states that don't
fuck.
have it are red states.
Yeah. That'd be funny as shit. If suddenly, like, Kamala only got, like, 20 electoral votes or something.
Yes, if they follow that, if the signatories of that pact follow what they pledged to do, then this is a 49-1 blowout, and Trump only loses Virginia.
The best timeline.
But yeah, let me see here. Still working on that VPN shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Did he say anything to you, or did he just ban you?
Just ban me. So that's what I assumed you wanted was to be able
Whatever.
me
Yeah.
read off the meltdown.
Yeah. Or he had a melty or whatever. I'm assuming it was really bad. Because I'm now really starting to be convinced that most Democrats in this country kind of knew it was coming based on their reactions over the last few
Yeah.
days. But I think foreign leftists are
Yeah.
probably like floored because they were getting bad information.
Yes, that is correct. Worked like a lay charm. Let me just read it off. Before I do, though, you should probably mute my microphone because this is not for
Oh,
younger
okay.
audiences like Austin.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you're muted. Huh, yeah. Okay, sure. No problem. Test, 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 test. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mhm. 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 Yeah, the classic. Okay, can I unmute you now? Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean,
Oh my god, that's just too funny. Yeah, I would just fucking never stop fucking laughing
mhm.
to see Nick Fuentes getting a fucking cease and desist letter from some guy that writes porn in Australia. Oh man, that's amazing. You love to see it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that is really one of the funniest things to me there is that this guy is so he feels guilty because of the things that he writes.
Mhm. And don't write
That
them.
he feels the yeah. It's like if you actually feel bad about what you're writing, you can stop at any time, bro. He's all like, I felt so bad about this. I have to, I have to donate 5% of my profits to a women's shelter.
Oh shit,
And
dude, you just fucking reminded me. What's has George R. R. Martin said anything yet?
oh my God, that's an excellent thing to check in with. Let me see, George R. R. Martin, not
Yeah.
a blog. No, unfortunately, his last post was on October 31st.
Okay, so it's coming. Although
Yes.
with how fast he writes, it might not be until like 2026.
Um. So actually, I am reading it right now. His last post that was on Halloween was actually an endorsement of Kamala and telling people not to vote for Trump.
Hmm. That's surprising.
So see here. Disabled for that post. Oh, he knows.
What? What was that?
I clicked on his post on his not a blog.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be LiveJournal, but I guess LiveJournal decided to change something, so he decided to put it on his actual website, and he just copied their format because he's that big of a boomer.
Mm-hmm.
But he wrote this big thing about endorsing Kamala, say don't vote for Trump and all this stuff, and then at the very end there is what is, I assume, an edit because it's in a different font, and he's talking about how he's angry and he's all like Trump is evil and they're gonna try to destroy what makes America great and blah blah blah, and then down at the bottom comments are disabled for this post, so he definitely he knows. And he's in the middle of having his meltdown right now. So, hey, folks, he had 4 Trumpless years to write his fucking book that he's been working on since 2011. And now the excuse is going to be, well, I haven't written it because I've been in a Trump-induced depression again. And so, like, can this fat bastard just die already?
Mm-hmm.
My God. Once he dies, they're going to take the notes and everything that he's worked on, and a ghostwriter that's already been hired by the publishing base will finish his book. Oh, man.
No way anybody will like what they do, though. They've been waiting too long. There's too much hype.
It's not even that there's too much hype now. It's just like, man, what could have possibly fucking taken you so long? Now it's just, there's never going to be any catharsis. It's just going to be a case of, man, thanks
Yeah,
for
Big
nothing,
Country,
you
but
bastard.
literally everybody else has Big Country. Decision Desk hasn't called the Pennsylvania Senate race, you're right, but literally everyone else has, so I don't think we have to worry about that one. They're being extra careful, which is fair, but
There's one thing that just does really need to be brought up, though, is that, regardless of anybody's opinion about anything, no one was, uh, elections didn't take this long to count in the past. Election irregularities had never been this frequent in the past. So, you can sit there and say, well, maybe the reason is this or maybe the reason is that, but I mean, really, what the fuck reason could there be? How did it get to this point, What's changed where all of a sudden you can't have results within 24 hours and have it all be finished? They used to be able to do that. It had never been in the past that it was so frequent because this is the 3rd straight election in Arizona where this has happened, where there have been races that had substantially more votes for one race than for another, and in a way that made people very confused.
See, I don't even really know who Giant Bomb is, Santi. Are they just another video game publication on the internet?
Probably. I'm barely able to focus right now, but I think it sounds familiar.
I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos.
Oh. I really just don't understand why. Because I mean, I know America's an important country, and I know that the policies and the stuff that our government does is going to affect people throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
But when America elects a guy who literally is all like, "Hey, the rest of the world can do whatever the fuck they want. I just want to focus on making my country great," why are you like, "Oh my god, my country's going to suck now"? Like, why are people who live in other countries so upset over this when it has nothing to do with them? You know, like somebody who lives in Germany, I could understand them being upset about America, like as a whole, because the Biden administration blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which really hurts the German economy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what could the American, the average American citizen have done besides not vote for Biden to try to help Germany out there? It's like we have a rogue government doing shit that is highly illegal, and that if we actually had a serious country, these guys would be held responsible for doing that kind of shit. But because we were an occupied nation over the last 4 years, there's nothing that we could have done to stop them from blowing up Nord Stream. They didn't ask us. We didn't want them to do it. Vast majority of the country has not wanted the United States to be involved in this Ukraine shit. But I mean, that's not going to mean anything to the Germans who have to deal with the fact that their economy's in the shit heap because of that. And stuff like this, man, because that's a totally valid thing to be upset about. And I had a conversation with a German guy on Twitter today who was upset about that. Because he's like, I don't care that Trump won because it doesn't make that pipeline unblow itself up. It's nice that Biden's not in charge anymore, so he can't do more damage, but like it still hurts our economy. And I'm like, you know what, that's totally valid. But most of the people in your country who are discussing this election are saying things like that. Instead, they're like, oh my God, living here in Germany, my life is ruined because apparently it'll be harder for American women to get abortions now. By the way, in most of Europe, the abortion limit is no later than 14 weeks. Some countries have it at 12. It's like almost every state in the United States lets uh, lets abortions happen later than that. It's nuts, man. Ugh, Jesus. I feel so extra tired. It's my weekend. I got perfect opportunity to just get some sleep. I go to bed way earlier than I normally do. Should have had plenty of time to sleep in. I wake up after 5 hours.
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes sometimes. That's the truth.
You hate to see it. And the Hurricanes lost. Fuck.
They're still gonna make the playoff, though.
Well, at least there's that. Yeah, it's really nice that the system has changed, because it used to be if you lost a single game, you were just immediately just fucked.
Yeah, it's much different now.
Yeah. I know you obviously were upset about the result, but did you like my joke at least?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I have an appreciation
uh,
for that. Yeah.
Man, that chimney looks tasty.
You
What the
know,
fuck?
a lot of people are just convinced that thinking the economy is bad right now in America is like some kind of shared mass delusion that people are having. Like I've seen so many um articles and tweets over the last few days, people being like, Why does a vast majority of the country think the American economy is bad when it's so good right now? And I've seen this stuff for like the last 2 years.
Right. Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly how I feel. And who are you hearing all this shit from? Online influencers who are making mega bucks, and they're completely removed from, the actual real life experience of average Americans. That's how you end up with shit like Pokimane saying, "Hey, you don't want to buy my $50 packet of cookies? Okay, if you're broke, boy, just say so." Like, hey guys, remember that shit? And fucking, the Goblin Destiny, him too. And other people saying, "Oh, the economy's so good right now," and then you ask them, more information. Turns out they're a fucking teenager. Well, my parents have jobs. The economy's got to be good. Okay. Ask your dad who he voted for. Oh, my dad's a bigot. He voted for Trump. Many such cases. I think what's even funnier is, like, you've got those people on the left, but then you also have people on the left who openly understand that the economy's in the shit heap and that Biden's responsible for it. So then they're like, "Oh my God, you're just that upset that groceries are more expensive that you just had to vote for this guy. Why don't you just get a better job, huh? Why don't you just get a better job that pays more money?" Uh, you know, are you all right?
Oh yeah, I'm totally fine. I was just checking something.
Oh, okay. Well, I checked in on your stream since you hadn't been doing anything, and you were also you were completely frozen in place. I was wondering if the stream was frozen too. You just hyperfocus. That's okay. But shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. I forgot what I was talking about before.
After the electoral vote redistribution in 2030, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin will not be enough. Democrats would actually have to like take back Nevada or Arizona or Georgia to make up the discrepancy they're going to have after the realignment of the electoral college.
And that's going to be super bad for them because they're already well on their way to not understanding what just happened and quadrupling down on the same shit. And then, like you said, the blue wall, even though, let's be honest, you've lost it in 3 consecutive elections. Even if you somehow manage to win them back, aka just manage to fraud it again or whatever, like you said, not going to be enough.
I am interested to see who they get next. Like, I saw some tweets from some brain dead political accounts on Twitter of like saying, do we need to let Kamala have another shot at this in 2028? And that would be beautiful.
Yeah, learning the wrong lessons of Trump winning here, that obviously if you just try again you can win. And it's all like, that had been attempted many times before in American history, and it's extremely rare when that actually happens. And usually the only time that it ever is allowed to happen, and especially when it happens and it's successful, is when it was actually a really close election the first time. Like, normally, Richard Nixon losing the 1960 election would have been enough for him to just have to fuck off forever. But aside from the fact that he was Ike's VP, which is a hell of a pedigree to run on, the 1960 election was the closest election in American history. So they were like, well, we already had one attempt without him, and we got our asses whipped. Why don't we just give him another shot? And then he wins in a landslide. And then on his re-election campaign, he won, and he was the first guy to do 49-1. But yeah, it's just very amusing, everything that's happening.
All right. One map down. I think there are 3 more. Okay. Yeah, this one. I know what this one's supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh, this one's easy. This is where Pinocchio lives. Yay, it's the Shrek Beware of Ogre sign. I'm so glad.
You ever hear that story about how at DreamWorks, the Shrek team was like the team you would get sent to as punishment?
I've never heard that. That's hilarious.
Because they thought the movie would never get made. It was just like basically where they would send somebody when they fucked up and you just wanted them out of the way.
That's really funny. Because not only was it popular in its day, but it would become one of the biggest meme movies of all time.
Right.
Yeah. Which actually reminds me, I forgot that the lead singer for Smash Mouth passed away last year.
Yeah. So, originally, this was the initial pitch for what Shrek would look like. And it was so
wow.
off-putting and unpleasant. They just thought like, yeah, this is never actually going to happen.
Kudos, because that actually looks way more like a traditional ogre than the Shrek that they actually made. But that's because the Shrek they actually made was supposed to be the protagonist of a children's movie. But yeah, that looks like that looks like a boss from like a PS1 game cutscene. So yeah, they did a good job in that regard. They did a horrible job considering what they actually needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that the initial demo reel for Toy Story almost got the movie canceled because it was so bad. They did like a storyboard with some voice acting for a scene, and it was so bad that it almost got canceled on the spot. It was called like Black Friday for the Pixar team.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
I turned the volume back on, and you'd figure that All Star would be playing on loop right now, but there's no music at all. It's actually sad.
Yeah. Yeah,
anyway, you were
often.
gonna say something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that in Wisconsin, what happened is that I think it was Ozaki and to a certain extent Washika both really didn't show up for Trump the way that I was expecting. In fact, that's going to be one of the things that we do need to think about coming out of this election. It wasn't really the fact that white people swung to Trump so much as it was that white turnout went up. But in terms of like percentages, the percent of white people that voted for Trump last time was the same, more or less. So white people are just leaving the demographic, I guess. And the fact that they had a presidential candidate like Biden versus Kamala is only so much of a factor on it, which is obviously disappointing. Like, we might not be far away from an election where more Latino men vote conservative than white men vote conservative.
God, that would be awful. But hey, at least then the wall would get built.
Yeah, ironically, and this is something that we always make fun of when people say it, but in Wisconsin, Donald Trump did actually kind of get saved by the black vote because last time he got 80%, he got no 8% of the black vote in Wisconsin. This time he got 20. That actually was a big deal. Now, it was only really a big deal in that state and maybe Georgia, but still, it's like the meme actually kind of happened.
Yeah, it's securing the white vote for the Republican Party is mandatory. But in the event of a close election, every little bit helps.
Mm-hmm.
And the election was not really close when you look at the thing as a whole. But in those battleground states, yeah, every little bit helped.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, they did a good job. And that being the case, because I did shit on the lady that he made as chief of staff, specifically because of that. She said, "Yeah, we may have lost Karen because they're talking about the suburban wine moms that voted for Biden." And she said, "We may have lost Karen, but in exchange, we're getting Jamal and Enrique," which I thought was retarded when she said it, and many other people, specifically a very large amount of groypers, thought that was retarded when she said it. And it ended up actually being kind of the case. So I guess I'll stop giving her shit.
I think
Fair enough.
I think that the suburban wine mom is actually Kamala's strongest base. Is the thing. Like, maybe you could pry them away against a different opponent, but not against Kamala. Kamala basically is a suburban wine mom at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So I guess white women on social media are trying to start this thing where, because they're so ashamed that white women voted for Trump by 7 points, they're like, we're going to start wearing blue bracelets everywhere to signal to people as like a dog whistle that we voted for Kamala. So wearing a blue bracelet is the latest symbol of resistance against Trump. Remember that from last
Yeah.
time?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I do, which is very amusing. But The funny thing is that and this is what shows you the worm really has turned, is that when you go out in public in certain areas where you wouldn't have imagined it before. I mean, just in general, you didn't fucking imagine it before. You see, a group of white ladies all having lunch together, and it's not just a group of white ladies having lunch together. It's that they're very clearly trophy wives with professional husbands
Mm-hmm.
having lunch together, all sitting there wearing MAGA hats and like an upscale
Right.
fucking restaurant kind of is like you never used to see this shit. Like this is the Larry David meme come to life, except he was doing it to be a curmudgeonly asshole. They're actually sitting there just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Right. Be right back, guys. Give me a few minutes. All right, I'm back. But yeah, the thing that is going to be really interesting about the next, I'll say 3 years, is
Uh,
Demic. What?
well, just could you say it again? Because I missed the lead in when you got back. I
Oh,
went to pause my music. It
oh, okay. No,
was a
all
little
I
loud.
said was the thing that's going to be really interesting over the next few years, I'll say 3 years, is if Democrats can come to terms with the fact that JD Vance is actually really good. because they tried to meme it. They tried to like speak into existence the fact that he's bad, and Trump made a bad VP pick. But we were talking about this earlier. Like he is
Yeah.
extremely smart,
Yeah.
and he sounds smart. I think that if you're not a smart person and you're trying to look for other smart people to guide you and just assume they know what they're talking about, you're probably listening to JD Vance and thinking, yeah, yeah, this is a guy that I want to follow.
Not only that, but there's something about him that I hadn't thought of until just this moment. Because I was initially going to say, it's really good that he himself even wasn't a Trump supporter at first, because it shows just how right Trump is that he managed to convince JD. But it goes even further than that, which is JD is really good because so many of the people who voted for Trump and who support Trump right now are not people who were on board from the very beginning, who also had to be convinced. So JD is a real life example and someone who can lead the way in showing there's a path to conversion here. There's a
Mm-hmm.
path to joining the winning team. And in that context, it's like, man, that's actually
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
Because I imagine in 4 years it's going to come down to Vance versus Youngkin.
Yeah, and as long as Youngkin can stay, continue getting reelected governor, I want Vance to go first, and for Youngkin to stay governor,
Mm-hmm.
because Virginia is well within our capability to flip it back. But we're gonna need Youngkin on board, for a little while longer. Like DeSantis is doing great work for Florida. By the time he's done, Florida's will be ours forever. And we need that. So imagine if DeSantis had actually won right now, and by that I mean the primary, because I really don't know what would have happened in the election. But if he had become the nominee, and he wasn't governor of Florida anymore, would we have had this amazing turnout? Would we have had this fucking, the swing that was so intense that even Nate Crystal, with all of his fucking models that said something that Trump was going to win, that even he was like, oh, Florida more than +8 is just a fantasy.
Right.
So you've got to keep people where they're actually doing the most good work. So I'm like, let JD be the guy first.
Mm-hmm.
Let him do 8 years first. Then it can be Youngkin's day once Virginia is firmly back in our control for good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say.
Yeah. I don't think DeSantis has the charisma to be president. Big country. I didn't initially think that, but a lot of people in my on my Twitter feed call him Homelander because he doesn't know how to act like a normal human sometimes. Like again, there was that thread that was on my For You tab earlier from a few days ago of some prominent Twitter Democrat, liberal, leftist, whatever, basically saying it would be a very big mistake to underestimate JD Vance. He's the smartest person to appear on a major presidential ticket since at least Obama, and he actually said, I think he's smarter than Obama.
Yeah, I definitely believe that because the thing about Obama is that, for a lot of the guys listening, they probably too young to remember all this, but Obama came out of the Chicago area, and it's called Cook County, but the nickname is Crook County because
Hmm.
it's probably one of the most corrupt places politically in the entire country. So him coming out of that area politically is not very impressive because it's crooked as hell over there. The young guys, they don't remember the whole thing with Blagojevich, and he did an interview with Tucker the other day, and holy shit, dude, he blew the doors wide open on so many things he'd never said before.
Hmm.
Like when he was governor, before any of the quid pro quo stuff that got him arrested and all this happened, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's not the first time that I'd interacted with Obama to do something like this. Is the when he was first elected as a senator." Within 48 hours of him being elected, I was contacted by Michelle Obama, who I had never met or spoken to before, and she said, "I want to get a job working at this hospital." And because I was the governor, it was understood that not only was it my job to get her that job, but this was the no work, no show job. So she was just getting paid. She said, "Yes, I want $500,000 a year. Get me a job at this hospital." And I was like, "Okay." Because I can't not do it. It's the new senator. He's the boy wonder. He's the chosen one. I got to make sure he gets his shit here. And I'm all like, man, he got hung out to dry because Blagojevich is extremely corrupt, very obviously corrupt, but he's upfront about it. You know exactly what you're getting with this guy. He's so dishonest that he's honestly dishonest.
Hmm.
So they're just like, no one in the world is going to believe that this guy's innocent. You know, let's just have him fall on his sword because that'd be easier for all of us. I'm like, dude, he got fucked. Like,
Hmm.
it's wild.
And also, from spending some time on social media, it's clear that everybody, including the far left, is going to use this as an excuse to say the next the next Democrat candidate should adopt my exact policy position. Like we were saying that they're probably going to swing to the middle
Mhm.
and nominate a
If
moderate next time.
if they want to win, that's what they do. But I don't think that's what they're gonna do.
But there are a lot of leftists that I've seen on X saying the opposite. They're like Kamala Harris ran as a moderate and that was her mistake. Like she was embracing Liz Cheney, she was embracing like billionaires like Mark Cuban. Like they actually said no, she was too much of a moderate. That's why she lost. So nothing's been settled.
Yeah,
They
it's right. It's beautiful because they're just setting up, another giga stomp, in the midterms and in 2028, which would be lovely. Because it's all like, look, like we said, this isn't. It's the way to look at it, as I'm seeing other comparisons. Razor was the first one who said it in 2022 when the economy was just in the absolute fucking shit heap and things were terrible. As he said, we were on the verge of getting another Roaring Twenties. Instead, we just got another Jimmy Carter, and that was completely dead on because it's like, man, you know what? He's right. We just got that shitty Jimmy Carter dog shit economy feeling. And with Trump coming back in and then 8 years of Vance following, it's going to be like Reagan in the 80s when the economy just hit this boom that was a once in a generation golden time. That's what I'm hoping for personally.
well, next time Bernie Sanders can run, I guess.
Bernie in 2028. Are you ready, folks? God. Well, I mean, it's really funny because people have been talking about Gavin for so long. Oh yeah, it's Newsom. It's going to be Newsom's turn. I'm all like, no, it's not going to be Newsom's turn because a lot of folks are coming out of the woodwork now, being like, now it's my shot because everybody whose turn that it was, it's all gone now. Like the fucking party's reeling. No one knows who's in control. The established order is kind of just fallen to the wayside here. Now is when a lot of people are going to make their push. I'm sure that primary is going to be very competitive in terms of how many people are involved, but it's probably going to be dog shit in terms of quality.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I know a lot of people are concerned about Gavin, but like, you guys don't live in California when you say that because you're shocked. Oh my God, look at how popular he is. It's because look at the vote margins when he gets reelected. It's like, bro, it's California. Trump is making history right now, getting 40% of the vote here. It's California. It is the deepest, bluest state you can possibly imagine. And Gavin has done so many different things that are just absolute poison anywhere else in the country that he's going to have to run away from at top speed, but he's not going to be able to because he did those things specifically to campaign on them when he runs for president. Like, it's he made it a law so that it's like 10 years from now, because when he made it into a law, it was 15 years from when it was enacted. It'll be illegal to sell a gasoline-powered vehicle in the state of California. So that he can sit there and say, look how good I am for the environment. I made it illegal to sell a gas-powered vehicle. And it's like, well, how well do you think that's going to go over with rural voters throughout the entire country? How well do you think that's going to go over with voters that are farmers, people who live in the Midwest, and especially in the Rust Belt states? How many electric vehicle pickup trucks are there that are actually capable of working on a construction site or an oil rig? And you want people in the Rust Belt to vote for you? That's just never going to happen. He's going to get fucking killed. There's no shot he would actually win a federal election because of that's one thing. He has millions of different things that he's done as governor that is just complete batshit insanity, but he gets away with it because it's California. He can't do anything wrong here. So because of that, I think, everyone, oh, it's going to be Gavin. No, it's not going to be Gavin. He'll run, and he'll get his ass kicked.
Yeah. Nate Silver talked about the Gavin Newsom thing several months ago on X, and he basically said that, people need to understand how unpopular Gavin Newsom is in, like, pretty much every non-California state. Like, he does not have any kind of national appeal right now. So basically saying, like, yeah, he's a California politician. He's never going to leave that. I really do suspect it'll be Shapiro.
And, maybe it does end up being Shapiro, but what's going to be really funny when it ends up being Shapiro is that he is Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Israel-Palestine thing's still going on, the party's going to have a huge fucking crisis over that. And you better believe the Groypers are going to be groveling at Trump's feet after that. They're like, no, we can't let a Jewish president happen. Oh, man. Fuentes belongs in the crystals.
It sure sounds like they're not going to learn very much from this, though, so I'm excited. They'll probably trot out, like... I mean, there's a scenario where they end up trotting out somebody like fucking... Like, maybe the Joe Manchin thing actually happens. They think that's the play.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I personally don't think he would win. But win the election federally, but I'm interested to see if he'd win in the primary.
Well, yeah, of course he wouldn't win the election. Like that's worse, I think, than the Republicans nominating Romney. Like that's now looked back as a whoa, what the hell moment. Why are you making the most moderate version of your party your representative to the entire country like that? But at least Romney is a Republican more than Manchin is a Democrat, especially now, I think. I think
Yeah.
if Manchin could do it all over again, he would just be an independent, but now it doesn't matter because he's leaving that seat in a couple months anyway.
Yes. I tell you, Romney was a catastrophe. But I've been thinking about that primary over again. Aside from obviously that Ron Paul got fucked and that's who should have won it. But you end up taking your medicine anyway because the same rules that they used to fuck over Ron Paul made it so that they wouldn't be able to fuck over Trump. So then we had Trump. Hooray for that. But I remember that primary where it came down to. I mean, Ron Paul was the third place that no one wanted to ever talk about, but the media kept saying it's Romney versus Santorum.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Rick Santorum, man. I wonder if he should make a comeback. Like,
I don't think so. He has no resume. He was a one-term Pennsylvania senator, and he got landslid out when he left. I and I think, and I do think the way he goes about the religious stuff is toxic to enough of the population to where it probably won't fly. He's got that like almost Billy Graham type of evangelicalism that I think has become a little bit electorally toxic. Well, honestly, what Democrats need is like a really good Latino candidate because they're bleeding Latino support uncontrollably right now.
yeah,
So they need like
very
the
much so.
Obama, they need like a Latino version of Obama. Like, who are prominent Latino Democrat politicians? Like, obviously, you have Rubio and Cruz on the Republican side.
Um, you know what? That honestly might be why they're trying to rig it for Gallego to win, so that he can be an Obama-like first-term senator.
Mm.
That they just immediately say Gallego, he's our guy. But honestly, the only prominent Hispanic in Washington with a D next to their name that I can think of off the top of my head is AOC.
Wait, isn't she? I guess.
She is a mix of many things.
Okay. I thought she
However,
was Jewish, yeah.
she talked about her Jewish heritage, but it's like we're talking about Elizabeth Warren levels here.
Hmm.
In terms of her bloodline,
Oh,
she
okay.
probably did it for just please God give me APAC money. But yeah, she's like Puerto Rican or some shit.
Hmm. Look, I could be wrong, but I am pretty sure that AOC would be remarkably toxic at the presidential level.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Unless she ran on a platform of if you vote for me, I will give you a half gallon of milk. I would. I show up to inauguration day with my milk mustache. Worth.
I don't know, Jack Stump. That's an interesting question. But I thought he was going to retire anyway, so I'm still thinking that way, but I don't know if that guarantees it the way you're talking about.
Greg
Like,
Popovich should retire as a coach. I agree.
things can change rapidly, of course, but like AOC, she's, a woman of color, which we just went through our first ever woman of color on a major presidential ticket, and it did not go very well. I'd go so far as to say it went terribly. And she's young, which means she's appealing to the demographic that doesn't vote very much, and probably less appealing to the demographic that does actually vote a lot. Like, I
What?
don't know. I feel like she'd get BTFO'd if she actually won the primary.
Yeah, because of what you're talking about, where she appeals to the people who don't vote very much and does not appeal to the people who vote a lot. When you talk about the people who don't vote very much, you have to consider this election, 2024. Trump got a shitload of low propensity voters to vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, in this hypothetical, that she would actually get that kind of turnout? The answer is obviously no.
It's just hard for me to believe that that would work. Like, again, if this election taught them anything, it's that America is more right wing than you thought. The fact that Trump could win the popular vote.
Yeah. And convert so many ethnic minorities to
Yeah.
being Republican voters.
Mm-hmm. Like, some people were using the example of Obama, but Obama ran as a conservative Democrat in '08. Like, people forget this. This is another example of people being a little too young to remember. But, like, Obama ran as, like, almost a blue dog Democrat at times. Like, he opposed same-sex marriage for the first 3 years of his presidency.
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversation about that specifically in the last 48 hours. People trying to be like, we knew that if we voted for Obama, gay marriage would be passed, and it was. And I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Here's a bunch of shit. So, like, I brought up a ton of YouTube clips of him saying specifically that he did not support gay marriage. And wouldn't you know it, when he said all that shit, the exact same year, a whole bunch of black people were the reason that Proposition 8 passed in California, which specifically legally defined marriage as being between a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there was a proposition on the ballot this year in California which did pass, which specifically was to revert Proposition 8, which literally is nothing more than just like a fucking victory lap for
Right.
Democrats here in California, because it's like, well, gay marriage is already legal, bro.
They just want to make it
We're
really hard
gonna,
to make illegal later, I guess. I don't fucking
I
know.
like we're gonna repeal Prop 8, and it's all like, this was almost 20 years ago. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and the Democrats are going to be able to say, and I don't know if this is the right way to think about things. The one Democrat candidate that's won in the last 3 elections is, Joe Biden, an old white guy who bills himself as Scranton Joe. So we need
And
another one of those.
yeah, that, to me, honestly, that is the most baffling part of this whole thing. I'm not even going to talk about how 2020 was stolen. I'm not even going to talk about the election was rigged and all this other shit. Accept the results as being legitimate, just for this discussion. If you lose with Hillary and you win with Joe and you lose with Kamala, you need to re-examine 2020 and ask yourself, not why did we lose, but why did we win?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not seeing that. It's not like, well, we won because everyone hated Trump. It's all like, well, they don't hate him now because he won the popular vote. So try again. Like,
Well, I think even some people on the left who don't think the election was rigged, at least, and I think pretty much anybody should agree with this at this point. This is common sense that if COVID did not happen, Trump would have just kind of rolled to a sleepy re-election, and there really wouldn't have been much drama at all. Like COVID was able to do a lot of things that at least made it possible to make it within range, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, without COVID, the economy is still fucking amazing. So we're in the middle of roaring 20s.
Yeah.
So if you just completely remove COVID from the equation, then we've basically got the strongest economy in the last 100 years.
And it was COVID that allowed
Uh,
them to send out so many mail in ballots, also. They would not have been able to do that in any other election cycle.
right, which is the primary reason why it was significant. But that's why I brought up the economy, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, if COVID didn't happen so that you didn't have all these mail in ballots, well, he also wins in a landslide because the economy's fucking amazing. And that's how I love all this shit. They're all like, well, Trump's economy was only good because of Obama, and things are bad now because it's the Trump effect. And it's all like, okay, so can you explain to me why immediately after he wins, the value of the dollar has begun to skyrocket and nothing has changed other than Trump won the election? And then you have retards being like, oh, well, all the people who think that inflation and prices rising have been happening, well, that's just their imagination. It's not real. There's just so much retardation here, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. How did this mess get in here with Shrek? Because like I could totally understand why we had to clean his porta potty out. Because goddamn, but
Mm-hmm.
like, why is there a bunch of paint in his house everywhere? Like, what happened?
Uh, maybe this is like Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle,
Oh,
where, fucking Neil Patrick Harris was talking about love stains in the back seat.
oh
And
Jesus,
this is like from the dragon that Donkey is sleeping with or whatever.
no, oh,
This
bro,
is
that's terrible.
this is like her orgasm runoff.
Blech. I like the way you put that. That's runoff. Wow, nice man.
And I keep seeing posts from people that do the fucking meme. I don't understand. She was such a great candidate. She ran such a great campaign. She dominated him in the debate. She selected an excellent VP, and Trump selected a terrible one. How did this happen? And it's like, nothing you just said is true. How,
Exactly.
how are you not figuring this out?
I don't understand. The Broncos just had such an amazing offense. Peyton Manning, he was so incredible, and the Seahawks defense was so bad. How did we lose 43-8?
Mm-hmm.
How did this happen? It's like nothing you said was true. Like
Yeah.
Jesus.
I would say that by definition, the better campaign always wins in presidential politics. I think by literal definition. Like you can argue that the other person would have been a better president. Like you can argue that Hillary Clinton would have been a better president than Donald Trump was, but I don't think you can argue that he ran a better campaign or she ran a better campaign because she lost. By
Right.
definition, the best campaign will always win.
Yeah, when she fainted on 9/11 and got tossed into the van like a side of beef.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a direct quote, by the way, from a cop who had never seen that shit before. And he's all like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but they just threw her in that van like a side of beef. I will never forget that as long as I live.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Do you think there's any significance to the fact that we finally have a vice president with a beard?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Because he's the first millennial to have an office this high, he carries with him the changing culture of our generation compared to generations past. Donald Trump would never grow facial hair because he comes from a generation and he very strongly believes that facial hair is unprofessional.
Hmm.
You know, he's the kind of guy who, if he was the owner of the Yankees, he also would have come up with the rule of not allowing anything but mustaches.
Right.
And JD Vance, being a millennial, you know, he comes, well, we have facial hair. We have very different opinions on it. We think that you can have facial hair and look professional. In fact, there are some folks who think that, you know, if you're a man and you don't have facial hair, it makes you look weird. So I do think that there is significance there because we're going to get to the point now where, you know, we're going to see more of that than less. Like you see it with Ted Cruz too. You know, he grew out a beard.
Hmm.
And, you know, you're going to start seeing it happen more often than less often. And it's because for so many, not just in the country, but in the world, a beard is a masculinity replacement. And politicians pander. So once they see someone like Vance who's able to succeed while having it, they're going to realize it's not poison anymore. So the floodgates are going to open because they're going to be like, hey, you know, I could have that commercial where I sit on the bed of a pickup truck and I talk about football and wear a cowboy hat, but I ruined the whole thing because I sat there like a fag. Instead, I could just grow out a beard. And
Hmm.
then I wouldn't need to sit down and I wouldn't give away the fact that I'm a raging homosexual. So it might work.
I will say what happens with the Senate Majority Leader is going to be very interesting because it'll be a kind of a signal of how much certain people are being listened to and how much power he really has this time. Like, I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't done a lot of digging into this yet, and there might be no way to really confirm or deny it, but supposedly John Thune and John Cornyn are both basically receiving their instructions from McConnell, and it's just McConnell's
Yeah.
way of being able to control the Senate after he steps down. And then you've got Rick Scott. So it's going to be very interesting to see if this can be swung where Rick Scott actually becomes the Senate leader. If that happens, then
The ball. It's hard to believe we're 95% because this house is still so fucked up.
mhm.
Oh god, almost feels like we'll never get to the end of it.
Honestly, I don't think Mike Johnson is a bad Speaker of the House because his problem is that he's really easy to push around. So imagine that trait when Trump is in place, right?
Yeah.
Like the problem with Mike Johnson was he was a pushover, which is what we want. We want a Speaker of the House to be a pushover now. We didn't want it when Biden was there.
Yes. Yes, that is completely correct. If we can't choose to have a winner and a leader and someone with a spine and a fighter who happens to be on our side, so all of those values are good. If we're forced to deal with somebody who's not on our side and is actively trying to stymie us and fuck us over at every
Hmm.
possible opportunity, then yeah, you want a spineless, dickless twat like so many of these neocons are.
Hmm.
So yeah, you know, if he remains Speaker of the House when Trump comes back in, dude, it's gonna be fucking awesome. It's like we're gonna get anything we want because he's gonna sit there and be like, but President Trump, I don't. And Trump's gonna be like, shut up, you garbage.
Yeah. So, assuming the Senate is finalized now, and I believe that it is, that means you can afford to lose 3 Republicans on any vote, right? And we all know who those 3 Republicans are going to be. Murkowski, Collins, and the guy who replaced Romney, who I can pretty much guarantee is going to be worse than Romney.
Yeah, fucking Three Stooges.
Yeah, so those 3 are going to defect pretty frequently. So those are the 3 you can afford to lose, but who is the 4th? I was thinking about this last night, and I guess it's going to be Bill Cassidy.
It could be, but there's another one that you'll also often get, and it truly is a shame considering so many different things, but it's going to be Rand
Yeah.
again. Because he stands on principle, which is very, it's lovely, and you're making your father proud, you're living up to his legacy and all that kind of shit. But holy fuck, pick your battles.
Yeah.
Oh my god, read the room, bro. And that's what I'm hoping for. Considering his father's going to be part of the administration now. I'm like, man, I want Papa Paul to just sit him down and be like, Rand, I love you, but they literally tried to shoot this guy. So rubber stamp everything he puts across your desk. I don't care if it sounds like a bad idea. There's a time and a place.
Yeah, Rand Paul will obviously defect for different reasons, but he will defect a pretty decent amount. So that's true, but that might not end up being as big of a problem. It's also worth noting, I think, that a lot of these soft Republican senators probably use their vote strategically. Sometimes they vote with Trump, but then every now and then they know they have to throw in a vote against him because they'll lose their constituency if they go too far. So I'll bet you'll see a decent amount of like Collins voting yes on something and then Murkowski votes no. And then it'll be flipped for a different vote. That's what happened with the SCOTUS judges. On Kavanaugh, Collins decided to vote yes and Murkowski voted no. And then on Barrett, it was Murkowski who voted yes and Collins who voted no. And I'm pretty sure they probably set that up behind the scenes. So they'll be like, okay, I want to look good to my Democrat base of voters so I can keep this seat in a couple years. But I also
Yeah,
want to make sure I don't stop
right.
anything.
Yeah, because see, that's the whip's job is they see where the votes are,
Mm-hmm.
so that once they have the votes needed to pass it, that's when they go around to the people who, for political reasons, need to oppose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pointless because now we can blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, that happened with the vote to repeal Obamacare.
Right.
Once McCain became the deciding vote, shit on it. A whole bunch of other senators who were already like holding out, like they hadn't voted yes or no yet. There was this huge delay. But once McCain came through and it was guaranteed, okay, we're not going to be able to repeal, the motion has not passed. That suddenly everyone is coming across, oh, I voted yes, because it didn't matter anymore. It already
Right.
failed.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of shit happens all the time. That's what the whip's job is to be able to count up the votes first to see, where it all is. And also, if it's something that they really needed to pass and they're actually not getting supported, to figure out what they need to do to get the support.
Right. It is worth noting that last time when Trump fell a vote short of being able to repeal and replace Obamacare, Rand Paul voted yes on that, and it was McCain that voted no. So he's clearly open to getting rid of Obamacare. So he
Yes.
won't be a key defector on that front. The flip side is now that Trump is in the strongest political position of his life because he actually won the popular vote and is going to fall a little short of setting the all-time popular vote record for anybody ever. And the last guy only was able to do that because of COVID, meaning that there were 1 billion more ballots out there.
Plus cheating, of course. But yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Had to be said.
Maybe like Collins and Murkowski won't even be willing to go against him. Maybe they'll just be like, let's just fall in line here and take our whooping in a couple years in the election. Better than going into the blender.
Yes, or ending up in the crystals like Newman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear your reaction. So yeah, I just read it, but you did like that one, right?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I loved how terrified Elaine was immediately. He just immediately knows something bad's gonna happen. Jerry, he's already got me locked in here for 10,000 solar cycles. You gotta let him get. You gotta get him to let me out, Jerry. Like the cop doing like an after-school special kind of thing. He's like, yeah, sure, it might seem like a good idea, but it's also like having an alligator as a pet. You know, it's cool for a couple of minutes, and then something goes horribly wrong, and you got to flush it down. You know, you got. Jesus, that's a spicy meatball. You know, as we've been doing these Shrek maps, I've literally only recognized 2 of them.
Yeah, this is the fairy godmother's workshop or something, I think. Yeah, fairy godmother's potion factory.
I have no idea what that's about.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she might have been a part of Shrek 2. But I mean, I don't remember this fucking thing, that's for sure.
Right.
I'm just remembering the 40K and the SpongeBob DLCs where I'm like, hey, I recognize all of this. And then we were doing Alice in Wonderland, and it was like, oh, hey, look, I found the Cheshire Cat. This is great.
I think, Austin, I think those 3 will be hard to move on more extreme, on the more extreme stuff, yes. I think it'll be basically just like last time when you had, in the second half of Trump's term, it was Romney, Murkowski, and Collins that were the softest Republican support. The difference is this time you can actually survive that because you have 53.
Yeah, I'm actually so glad that Romney's not a senator anymore. Even though, like you said, the new guy is probably going to be even worse.
I think he will be.
And you know, I'm not going to be surprised if that happens. But I do still hate Mitt Romney. So I'm glad, you know. I'll consider this a moral victory.
I guess the hope would be that this new guy, while he sucks, may not have the spine to stand up to him the way Romney clearly did, because he was the face of the Republican Party for a while, and Trump kind of succeeded him, so he felt like he was in a position to, you know, push back on the stuff he didn't like. Well, Austin, tie goes to the Republican, right? Because J.D. Vance is the president of the Senate, and the president of the Senate only votes when it's 50-50.
And that was a huge breach of conduct. I don't think it was in the Senate. trying to remember exactly what happened. It may not even have been American politics now that I think about it, but let me see here. Fuck the whole thing. I was just remembering something I was reading, a huge breach of etiquette where somebody in a position like that, president of the Senate, sort of thing, where they only vote to break the tiebreaker. It may not even have been American politics. It could have been like the British Parliament or something like that. But I was reading a story where, it was specifically against the right-wing party, wherever this was at. They were symbolically being like, fuck you, and deciding this huge breach of conduct that had never happened before. So they're voting on an issue that's not a tiebreaker. That he could be like, hey, fuck you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Austin, because they otherwise didn't need it or it didn't matter. Mike Pence, off the top of my head, broke a tie on confirming Betsy DeVos to Secretary of Education.
Oh, yeah, I
in
remember that.
2017. It was 50-50 and Pence had to break it. So that tie, because I think I know what you're talking about. I guess the other part of that is what Democrat senators are going to support Trump the most. Because Manchin's out now. Manchin got replaced by a Republican who's going to be strong support. But who's the tepid support you can get on the Democrat side? I don't know if there's anybody left.
Well, certainly not to the level that Manchin gave, but there are some from out of red states that, I mean, it's, again, nowhere near close to what Manchin was giving,
Mm-hmm.
but to the point where some of them were aligning with Trump more often than Rand was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Cinema's gone. Cinema is out of there in Arizona, so it's
Yay.
not going to be her. Um like they might vote in lockstep against him the entire time, honestly. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty standard. Party begging for graciousness and humility and victory. Begs for mercy
Mm-hmm.
after peacefully ceding power to a party they refer to as Nazis for the last 4 years. Nice move.
Like somebody like Fetterman in the Senate isn't, he's not super extreme left as it turns out, by the way. He was running as a far left guy and then he got into office and decided to become like a moderate Democrat. But he's
All it required was having a stroke.
mm-hmm, pretty much.
Let me explain the brain damage.
But I don't think Fetterman's gonna try to rub elbows with Trump or anything like that. I think that he's going to let me see here. List of red state Democrat senators.
Oh yeah, I have something I need to Google too. AOC, mommy, milkers. Ooh, something from DeviantArt.
Is this? Maybe is John Hickenlooper kind of moderate? Maybe him.
How would you react if AOC invited you to drink her milk straight from the source?
Dude,
A subreddit called
what the fuck?
it's a thread from a subreddit called I didn't even know that this was a thing. Apparently, this is just a Google search. Fucking taught me this shit. A subreddit called r/celebrity lactation. I had no idea. Oh my god.
Man, there are so few red state Democrat senators anymore. Uh, maybe Mark Warner or Tim Kaine could be a little bit soft. Um, yeah, there isn't really a lot. It's pretty weak. Yeah, I think that Pennsylvania is going to keep swinging to the right. I don't know what's going to stop it. Like that is a state that is primed to be R plus 5 or 6 next time if things go well.
You love to see it.
And honestly, Trump did better in Michigan than even I thought. I thought he was going to win Michigan by like half a point. He won it by more than a point. There's something going on in Michigan that might be worth looking into that might make that malleable.
Yeah, legit, man. I was saying landslide is a prank. I was fully expecting to have my fucking stress levels activated beyond belief.
Hmm.
Just ready to just be miserable because like the fucking voting's still going on in Arizona to this day. I thought it was going to be like that everywhere, and like we still wouldn't know who won.
Hmm.
But holy crap, I'm so glad it was a blowout. I think everyone in the country, even the people who wanted Kamala to win and hate Trump a lot, I think everyone in the country is actually glad that it was over immediately. It was an early night.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No one wanted to have all that fucking anxiety just waiting to see what actually happened for all this time.
The country would not have survived another election that came down to something like that, I think.
Yeah.
I think you can very easily make an argument that at that point it doesn't even matter who gets declared winner.
Yeah.
The other side is going to be
Just
so pissed off. It's ogre.
especially some of the memes of people talking about like, what if it's a 269 tie? And
Hmm.
it's like if that happens, and yeah, the entire country would just fucking fracture at that point. I just remember that guy fucking IP banned me. That's he's gonna try to sue fucking Nick Flint for shit post. Oh my god, how does that even work in the international court? Like,
Too bad he didn't say something to you before blocking you. It would have been funny.
yeah, I completely agree. But in order for him to have done that, he would have needed to because it was a comment on what was essentially a blog post slash article that he wrote.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm just leaving a comment. You know, I'm not like DMing him or anything because
Right.
there's no way to DM him. So in order for the comment to have been posted, he would have needed to approve it. And he did approve some comments from people who were supporting Trump, but you can tell that that was the case because it says editor's note, pro-Trump comment removed. And he did that specifically so that he could IP ban them and then go on some kind of autistic rampage where he just preaches at them. Here's why you're wrong. The
Hmm.
last time he did that, by the way, it was really funny because he talked about, I've been studying politics for so much of my life. I have a degree from an Australian university in political science. And I'm all like, and look what you're fucking doing with that degree, bro. Like,
Hmm.
but he was talking all that kind of shit. He's like, I have a degree in political science, and this is how I know that Kamala is going to win. I was like, and how'd that fucking work out for you? And then we even have JD Vance, fucking Cormac McCarthy posting, literally Vice President of the United States, sitting there like, if the rule you followed brought you to this, of what use was the rule?
Hmm.
Oh man, you love to see it. And he fucking said that I got wood, man. I was like, holy shit. Oh man, this is MAGA country, boys.
This is the greatest political comeback in American history, right? It has to be.
Yeah,
By the way, right? Like that's
yeah. After quote unquote 81 million votes, and then as if all that shit wasn't enough, the lawsuits, throwing him in jail, the mugshot, the convictions, the 10 million fucking accusations, tried to shoot him twice, and then he wins in a fucking landslide. As if all that isn't enough, he wins in a landslide that is so confusing because everyone's like, where'd all the fucking votes go for Kamala? Compared to what happened last time, all those votes that were for Biden that Kamala didn't get, what the hell happened? So now everyone's fucking looking at it with increased scrutiny because like we told you 4 years ago that the shit was fake, and now you're like, hey, where'd all these votes go? Did the Republicans suppress them somehow? It never happened. A complete fabrication. Not this time. This was invented by a writer. What I'm really looking forward to is 10 years from now. Yeah. 10 years from now, when Donald Trump isn't president anymore, and probably after JD Vance's term,
mm-hmm.
and then we're running somebody new, and then Democrats are sitting there like, I remember the good old days of honorable Republicans like Donald Trump, and we loved those guys, and they loved us. And I'm gonna be sitting there as an old man with all this fucking white hair and my beard, and sitting there like, you can't fucking fool me with that shit. Okay, I know that we told you that all these other guys were super Hitler, but this guy is actually quadruple Hitler. The difference between the political discourse now and the political discourse 20 years from now is that instead of people scrambling to call their political opposition Hitler, they're going to be scrambling to claim that the people that they support are Hitler.
Yeah. Right-wing TikTok, man. It radicalized a whole generation.
Exactly. Exactly. Especially, if the Hispanic population of the country is going to continue to grow, most groypers are themselves Hispanic. So, like, that's how you chase the Latino vote is. Oh my God. JD Vance 2016. Trump could be America's Hitler. JD Vance 2024. Trump could be America's Hitler. Oh man.
Some people on X are claiming they're still getting fundraising texts and emails from Kamala, like as of the last couple of days.
Oh man, that would
So, like,
that would be
like,
so funny.
are they actually trying to recoup the 20 million in debt they're in?
That would seriously be the funniest fucking thing imaginable. Oh my God. Imagine fucking Kamala comes out and she's all like, I know that we lost, guys, but if you really want to show that you're not ready to give up the fight, I need $20 million.
I don't know if you saw this, but earlier today, Trump offered to pay that debt. Maybe he might have been joking, though.
I did see that, and
Mhm.
it would that would be the biggest flex of all time. My God.
He should buy up their debt and just have it transferred over to him.
That would be incredible. Actually, that's a fantastic idea. Holy shit, get Barron on the phone.
Mhm.
Father, I've been given an excellent idea by a shit poster. You must do this and wear the shirt that has the frog on it.
I wonder if NYU has a basketball team because they're not doing much better than Barron. at a school like that.
Yeah. I imagine that they would, because like I didn't think that Harvard had a fucking basketball team until Jeremy Lin came along.
Yeah. Although Barron probably is concerned about getting hit by some kid from a bad neighborhood.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, just look at what Caitlin Clark's going through. Could you imagine the shit that they'd put Barron through? My God.
The latest cope is that Trump's sentencing is in like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and they can sentence him to like the next 5 years in jail or something, and there's nothing that he could do because it's a state case. So the
That
new cope
is
is that they're going to do that.
that is the stupidest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Oh
Like
my
it would be
God. Fucking try it. Try it. I dare you, try it.
like remember when Lalo was in jail in Better Call Saul and he got a flip phone while he was in his cell so he could like order people around while in prison?
Yeah.
That's what it would be like. Trump would just sit in prison all day and be on the phone telling JD Vance to give in to his worst impulses.
Bro, it's the cooking scene from Goodfellas, except they're making hamburgers.
Right. Apparently, he does not eat pizza, by the way, Donald Trump.
Oh man. Pizza Hut's probably so pissed. He spent so much money on that stuffed crust. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Um,
There's too much
no, that
dough in it, he says.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense because like when that stuff came out about his diet, finding out that he intermittently fasts and basically just on one meal a day, it was really impressive. But when I was coming out, I'm reading this, I'm like, how's he still as overweight as he is?
Mm-hmm.
I know that, okay, well, if the only thing that he eats is McDonald's and, other fast food and crap like that, okay, yeah, it makes sense. But it's like, but the thing is, if you only eat once a day, it doesn't really matter what the fuck you're eating. But then I tried thinking about it, I'm like, okay, well, he's got the metabolism of a man in his 70s, plus he's eating a shitload of food that would be a shitload of food for me. So, yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Yeah, guy's a complete leviathan. Because I mean, not only is that his diet, but he only sleeps 4 hours a night.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely, each passing second, I sit there and think, how the fuck does this guy? How is he not only still alive, but is as fucking vibrant and extremely healthy? Like, man, seriously, he is completely just built different.
I feel like a lot of presidents are probably like that, though, or else they don't try to become a president in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, big country. There's this trend that's really started to emerge where I don't know. Trump does the Mormons don't really like Trump that much. So a place like Utah is not going to move right as much as the rest of the country did. I think we are seeing a little bit of a Mormon revolt.
But I think that is just like a revolt against everything at the same time. If you ran somebody like McMuffin now, then Utah probably just goes independent. But
I could see that.
who cares? At the same time, who cares? It's only Utah. They were trying to say that this one was going to be close. It wasn't.
Mhm.
And electorally, even close elections tend to not be close when it comes to the electoral vote. For instance, 2020, Biden, with lots of electoral votes, and the lead that he had, getting so many of those votes. Like, what'd you say? It was Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona was a combined 44,000 votes
It
that he won by.
was Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that is bonkers. 44,000 votes between 3 states, and those 3 states decide the election.
Right.
It's crazy. But then you look at the final EV totals, and it's like really massively in Biden's favor.
Yeah.
And if you just went by EV totals, you wouldn't realize that that was the third closest election in American history.
Right. And Nate Silver actually made a really good point in an article he wrote the other day about the election after it was over. He said that, one fundamental misunderstanding that people had is that just because my model had it at 50-50, that it meant it was going to be extremely close at the electoral college level. And the reason why he said that is because if the polls are wrong, they're probably going to be wrong in one direction in every or most states.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a thing where, this state, the polling missed 3 points right, but this one it was 2 points left, and that one was 4 points right, and this one's 5 points left. No, it's all going to be
How
kind
did
of systematic.
exactly, and wouldn't you know it, it ended up being systematically wrong for the exact same fucking guy that has been wrong about last 3 fucking elections. Who could have seen this coming? But yeah, So like I said, on the electoral college level, even close elections are not close. And I'm just saying all that to be like, even if Utah just votes for some fucking independent Mormon guy who's
Mhm.
just running, whatever, even if they just write in Mitt Romney and he gets every single vote in Utah until he dies, it's just Utah. No one cares. It's not going to be relevant.
My guess would be that I think a big part of their conservative beliefs that Mormons do have, Mormons are very much conservative, is based on like being very happy and being very optimistic and family, having this tight knit community of family members, stuff like that. And I think that they look at Trump and they just kind of get repulsed by it a little bit
Well,
because he's kind of everything that they don't represent, that they don't like about the right wing. Like he's a New Yorker. He's a he's a tough talk guy. He's a fast talker guy. He's a guy who's always trying to make a deal. I think that as I understand the way Mormons typically are, because I've known a few Mormons, I know of some Mormons. I'm guessing it's something like that, where Trump just does not personally appeal to that demographic because he's not like them in the slightest.
and I could see and understand that, but what I think it comes down to, while all of that's valid, if he was the champion of so many different values, even while being flawed like that, I think they'd be able to look past it. But it's stuff like when he came out and said, if an abortion ban comes across my desk, I'll veto it.
Mm-hmm.
When it's stuff like that, I think that's when because the way that I see Mormons as a voting bloc is that this is an entire community of the same slop posts that we saw a few months ago on Twitter of all the people being like, I'm pro-life and that's why I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. Even though he handed us, our biggest win in decades, I'm not going to vote for him because he won't push for a national abortion ban. So because of that, Mormons are just like, well, if they both suck, then I'd rather vote for Evan McMuffin.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. Like I saw this thing a couple of days before the election. that the Democrats had set up. It was, if you live in a crucial swing state and you vow to vote for Kamala, we will match your vote with 2 protest votes in a safe blue state, so you can show your dissatisfaction with how shitty of a candidate Kamala is without potentially risking Donald Trump winning the election. And I think that this kind of thing is highly illegal, although I don't know for sure. It just seems like it would be something that is legal, where it's like, hey, we are literally selling. If you if you give us if you give us your vote in Georgia, we will give you 2 votes in California. Like, I feel like that has to be illegal.
That sounds like a joke because of the whole part where they are implicitly admitting that Kamala sucks.
Yes.
That has to be satire.
And it might be,
It better be,
you
yeah.
know. But there's a chance that it's not. But that was the thing that I thought of, because I was like, I'm actually so tired. I forgot the reason that I brought it up. I was gonna go somewhere with that had something to do with McMuffin, but
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the Senate map in 2024-6 is very favorable. So Republicans will probably have the Senate for at minimum 4 years.
right. Oh, now I remember what I was gonna say. I was bringing that up because I was gonna be like, so that's, Mormons can sit there and say, and obviously, there's a shitload of Mormons in Utah. We know that,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also a number of Mormons throughout the whole rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think it is. Is that even in places like Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania also has the very large Amish community, and you figure that the Amish would be similar, but they support Trump a lot, and I think it's because of how close those states are.
Mm-hmm.
They might see something like Utah, where you have a bunch of Mormons being like, "I'm going to protest because I don't like Donald Trump, and he's not supporting a national abortion ban, and I think that this is bad, and I can't in good conscience." Blah 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 blah. So they do that in Utah because it's safe. And even if it wasn't safe, in the sense of like, let's say that the Democrats win Utah, or that Utah actually goes for an independent, the whole state is carried by Evan McMuffin.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to impact the Republicans' chances of winning unless it ends up being electorally the closest election in history. Like some people were predicting, what if it's a 269-269 tie? Well, then, yeah, Utah would have been
Yeah.
important.
But then
But
everything's important.
exactly, fucking Rhode Island did work in that sense. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no singling anybody out here. But yeah, because of that, because I'm sitting here like, I know plenty of Mormons who've lived here in California, and even though California was, and still is obviously a deep blue state, plenty of Mormons that I've known here have been like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to vote for the Republican guy, because they're not going to sit there and say, well, I'm going to vote for Evan McMuffin because what the hell does it matter? It's California. My vote doesn't mean anything here. They're still like, well, yeah, I'm voting Republican down ballot because if I didn't, I would be helping the Democrat to win, because there's a very high likelihood that they win here. And the Republicans need my vote to be able to stop this kind of slop from happening. Somebody who doesn't support you 100% of the time, but instead they support you 80% of the time, well, that's still a hell of a lot better than somebody who supports you 0% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, long rambling mess, but yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah. So, fun little fact here. Obviously, the Trump campaign, and I think any political campaign that can afford to does focus testing and studies, groups of people for response feedback on their campaign ads, right?
Mhm.
They try to figure out which ones are the most effective. And according to the Trump campaign, their most effective ad by far was the Kamala Harris is for they, them, Donald Trump is for you ad, which, if you watched any TV over
Yeah,
the past 4 months, you definitely saw it.
yeah.
And it's just kind of interesting that that's the message that resonated the best, not even like the economy stuff.
And it means so much to me that that is what resonated the best. Because holy fuck, think about how much they're pushing this weirdo trans crap in
Mhm.
absolutely everything that you can think of. And literally, they're saying because that was the ad that resonated the most, and you had Bill Clinton fucking sitting there saying, "Guys, you've got to address this. You can't just ignore this. This is actually serious." Over that fucking ad,
Mhm.
the same guy who said, "Well, they shouldn't vote for Trump just because the economy's awful," which was great. Thank you, Bill.
Even Bill's starting to
But
lose
it's
it.
exactly, but it's the trans stuff specifically that resonates with voters the most, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you, because that's the slop that they're putting into every television program, every movie, every video game, every book, every form of media and entertainment out there that people can't get away from no matter how hard they try. That's the shit that they're trying so hard and fighting over and all this other kind of shit, and that is what actually loses them the election, not the millions of other fucking things that are perfectly valid reasons for them to lose the election, but it's that specifically. That is awesome. Oh my god, that's awesome. You love to see it.
And it does show that ultimately it is a losing argument for them.
Yes.
Like 85% of the electorate supports keeping men out of women's sports. So it's pretty
Right.
hard to hold on to that 85% for the 15%.
Yep. Especially if you're actually trying to win. If you're trying to lose, though, like Kamala was,
Man, how amazing would it be if that rumor is real and Biden's team really was looking at internal polling that had Trump winning 400 electoral votes?
that would be amazing. And you know what? I believe it too. And because I was thinking about it a lot. When were they doing these internals? And when you think about that, that explains everything.
It was
It's around
back
the
in,
time that
dropped out
yeah,
July.
it's around, exactly. It's around the time that he dropped out, which means that it's less than 2 weeks after Trump got shot at. So the humongous boost that he saw will at that point never be higher because it had just happened. And it was less than a month since Biden's history making awful debate performance where he looked like the doddering, senile old man that he is. One of the worst debate performances in American history, if not the worst, because it directly led to the candidate having to drop out, even though he was the incumbent president of the United States. Point, that was pretty much rock bottom for the party. Yeah, I would expect them to be losing by 400 electoral votes. When every fucking news channel that you turn it to is showing the picture of Trump with his fist raised, and the ones that aren't are showing footage of Biden at the debate practically shitting his pants. Yeah, the internals must have looked like shit.
So, what's better? Having Biden stay in and winning with over 400 electoral votes, or winning like this and getting the Donald Trump when he faces a female candidate for president meme? Is it worth more to have known that Donald Trump single-handedly stopped women from becoming president twice?
That's really wonderful because you're right. It's going to stop like a lot of female political candidates. Because especially if this thing with Lake ends up holding on, a lot of female political candidates are going to be shown the door
Hmm.
going forward because it's going to be like, look, you're actually you're actually a detriment now. We're not in a situation where you get points for being a woman. We're actually at a point now where we think that it's electoral poison to run a woman. It's a bad idea. So that would be awesome, and actually, actually calls a lot of things into question.
Hmm.
But if he kicked Biden's ass that badly, carried 400 plus electoral votes, flipped almost everything except for the West Coast and like half of New England, but even flipped fucking New York State. Um, I think that would be better because it would also reflect down ballot too.
Hmm.
Holy shit. Because if we got that kind of thing going on, it's all like, okay, we now have such a majority in Congress, in addition to having the president here, we can now amend the Constitution. That's a mandate. Uh,
Yeah, it probably is better. The memes are nice though.
yes, I agree. Plus, just of course the mental relief that you feel to know there's going to be less women in politics, which is exactly what we need. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. The footage of fucking Walz's wife screeching into the microphone, "We're not gonna give up the fight," and oh my
Hmm.
god, makes my fucking ears bleed. I'm sitting there like, yeah, who the fuck thought that the country needed more of this? Like,
Did you see Kamala's concession speech from a few days ago yet?
I have not watched it. No, I've had way too many fucking things to catch up on. I'm way behind on so many different things.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch all the Trump content first because it's going to
Hmm.
be more relevant.
Right.
And I'm like, that Kamala concession speech will be there when I get through all this stuff. But I had to watch a lot of RFK stuff,
Hmm.
making America healthy again. I've really been enjoying that. But anyway, I'm sure it's very amusing, but I haven't seen it yet.
Hmm. It's I don't know. I think she's drunk when she gives it, and you can give your opinion on that when you watch it. But I felt like she was a little drunk. It
Now
wasn't
I
as good
really
as
want to watch
Hillary's.
it.
Yeah, Hillary's was better. Hillary had a better concession speech.
Hillary looked half dead when she came out and did it.
Hmm.
That was awesome. Her eyes were all fucking bloodshot.
By the way, has she said anything since the election ended? I feel like I haven't seen anything. Did
Hillary?
did it take her out?
Let me see here. When I click on Hillary Clinton News, I get an article from ex-Hillary Clinton advisor. Democrats are a hostage to the far left. That's pretty funny. I'll check her Twitter account. A bunch of posts on election day about Trump is desperate and he's going to lose. And then she hasn't had a post on her Twitter account since the 6th, which was a retweet of Bill Clinton's Twitter account, which said, "Our statement on the result of the 2024 election," where comments are, of course, disabled. Statement by Bill Clinton and Hillary on the result of the 2024 election. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz ran a positive, forward-looking campaign to be proud of. The American people have voted, and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will be the next president and vice president. We wish them well and hope they will govern for all of us. We must remember that America is bigger than the results of any one election, and what we as citizens do now will make the difference between a nation that moves forward and one that falls back. We need to solve our problems and seize our opportunities together. The future of our country depends on it.
Yeah, see, you can't say that after everything that you've said.
Yeah, you really can't.
Like, what
I
the
mean, I
fuck,
mean,
man?
Bill can, because he's the guy who said you shouldn't vote for Trump just because the economy was better when he was president.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. Hillary should not be making that as a joint statement. Bill
Yeah.
can do that and get away with it. Hillary, no, there's no shot.
Like she's basically been calling him Satan as much as she can for the last several months.
Not only that, but it's literally, all you need to do is just scroll down a little bit and you'll see exactly that. She was fucking lighting him up on election day. She's like, Donald Trump is, he's desperate because he knows he's gonna lose again. And then that is
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh yeah, she's molding. She, oh boy, you love to see it.
You know?
At the same time, though, of course, you know that she's delighted because number one, there's not going to be another first woman president
Yeah.
in her lifetime, at least. So she's like, at least I don't have to live to see that. Number one, and number two, she's also like, see, it wasn't just me. Other people can lose to him too. So it's like an ego thing. You feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure she is secretly delighted with this, but she can't, of course, say that. Aside from the fact that she hates him, she doesn't want people to be thinking that she's happy about this.
Maybe January 6th made Trump more popular because not doing these fake
Based.
canned concession speeches to politicians you've been bashing nonstop for like a year. Maybe people like intrinsically dislike people who do that because it's obviously fake.
Yeah.
Like
And he
again,
was like, yeah, he's like, I've been calling these people crooks my entire political career. There's no fucking way I'm going to that bullshit inauguration. Oh man. You know what? You might just be onto something.
yeah, being unwilling to hold any kind of an L is relatable. Like again, I saw more tweets earlier today from people who are like, "Yeah, man, this election was clearly stolen by Trump, but there's nothing we can do about it, I guess." And it's like I don't get this. Like, let's pretend for a second that I'm you, and I legitimately think this election was stolen. There's no way I'm going, "Oh well."
It's time to peacefully cede power to Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Now that Donald Trump has won, every black person will be sent back to Africa to become a slave again. And every woman will be forced into breeding camps. Oh well, time to peacefully cede power to this guy that's going to do that.
Yeah, it's very confusing to me.
Project 2025 will put me in the crystals. Oh well, time to just
Mm-hmm.
like really. Oh man. Also, I'm sure you saw it. Kyle Rittenhouse had a pretty good tweet since the election.
Was that the one to Harry?
It may have been. I don't know. I think it wasn't. He was kind of just talking in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
But considering who it was coming from, it was even funnier. He was like, "I'm seeing a lot of Democrats reacting to this election badly, saying that they're going to kill Republicans. You guys realize we have
Oh,
guns,
oh,
right?"
okay. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and then just the fact that it was coming from Kyle was awesome. Oh man. Yeah, so much shit happened this week. It's so difficult to even keep up over all the things that you need to laugh over. Like, I'm still trying to fucking get my head around fucking Robert O'Neill, the Navy SEAL that allegedly shot Osama bin Laden, saying to a bunch of homosexual young boys that they should be his concubines. Oh my god, that shit is just beyond belief. Oh god, Navy ain't beating those accusations anytime soon. It says that we're only half done, but like, look at this massive fucking map and all that we've already managed to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely it for me though. Like, I am so
Okay.
tired once
I'm
this map is finished.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
down with that.
you're gonna immediately collapse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, I saw a number of people on Twitter saying unironically that they voted for Trump because of Joker 2. They said I wasn't going to vote until that movie came out and I saw what they did. And I said, I know that this will piss you off, so you deserve to be angry too. I'm like, that is so fucking awesome. I can't wait for that fucking part of Trump as he's talking about his agenda. I will force the director of this movie to remake Joker 2, the unraped edition.
I'm not really sure, Big Country. Like when you think about it, every Republican who ever voted to impeach Trump has been primaried out. So it is possible that every single Republican in the House will just rubber stamp anything that Trump wants because all the soft support has already been pushed out.
Especially if they actually manage to do it, which seems like it probably won't happen, but if JD Vance became Senate Majority Leader in addition to
Mm-hmm.
Vice President, because then now he controls a lot of what the campaigns have going on, who's getting money, where they focus, and all this kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, you're the guy who didn't help us out. Oh, gee whiz, and you've got a tough primary opponent. Well, guess who's not getting any support from the party? Looks like you're on your own, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know,
That would be so based.
honestly, VPs don't do anything for the most part, right? Like, usually a VP will take on one vague general initiative during their tenure as VP. But VPs don't have a lot to do, so thinking that a VP could also be Speaker of the Senate, I mean, that's not really unreasonable. It's not trying to do two things at once.
Right. Especially if they were already a senator before they became vice president.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where it feels like that's actually what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the Dick Cheney John Edwards debate where Dick Cheney was talking about his role as president of the Senate and how seriously he takes that and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's working with the Senate and how powerful the Senate is within Congress and what its own role was supposed to be constitutionally, before they made so many amendments and changed things. It starts to make a lot more sense. But like, I think that kind of is the vice president's job, is to be the Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah. Like, what did Mike Pence do when he was VP? Like, what did he actually do? I know his purpose was to balance out the ticket, but from the time he was VP to the time he left, what did he do?
A lot of what I remember is him taking a lot of photos for his own eventual presidential run. And that's sort of like what the role has kind of become, because vice president is essentially the heir. If something happens to the president, they're the person who takes over. And it's like that thing that you showed me the other day. the vast majority of people who become vice president run for president.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like, okay, um, it's like being the heir. Because you're not only the guy who takes over if something happens to the president, but you're also the person who essentially, if not the party, then at the very least the president themselves are saying, you're going to be the guy going forward. You know, you're the guy that we're investing things into, so we want you to have a seat at the big table and watch how it's done. Try to learn something. Now, of course, the time where it wouldn't make sense for the vice president to be the Senate Majority Leader would be if the opposition party was in power.
Right.
But if your party's in power, then yeah, it should be your job.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's believed that Vance can be deployed in a better way, I think that it does make a good amount of sense. But again,
Right.
I think Rick Scott would be fine as well. If he's Senate Majority Leader, I think that's good.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. As long as it's not some Mitch puppet, then we're fine.
Right.
Because it's not like Mitch was the worst thing in the world. You know, he got a lot of what Trump wanted done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the first opportunity to plant a knife in Trump's back, he took it with no hesitation.
Yeah, and again, we can't have somebody like that making decisions about who to fund. He
Exactly.
like McConnell was behind the decision making that gave tens of millions of dollars to Larry Hogan, who had no chance of winning, no matter how much money you put into that. If he splits that money evenly among Sam Brown, Kari Lake, Eric Hovde, and Mike Rogers, that probably pushes all of them to win.
And that's what I really feel like here is that money obviously helps, but if 2024 should teach us anything, it's that money does not win campaigns by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So in instances like where Mitch is just pissing that away at an unwinnable race, it's a lot like Kamala ending up $20 million in debt when she got $1 billion for this campaign. She got all that in 107 days.
Right. I think some of it was inherited from Biden's campaign because she was on the ticket with
Which,
him.
yes, which is true. But like, still, that they also spent $1 billion in
Right.
107 days.
More than a billion.
Yes, because they ended up in debt. So like, and if she got blown the fuck out that badly, yeah, money is not buying an election. Period. However, smart money does.
Mm-hmm.
If you use the money wisely in an election that is winnable, you will win it. But if you piss money away on an election that is unwinnable, it doesn't matter how much you spend, you will just lose anyway, and all that money was pissed away on nothing. That's what I hope the lesson ends up being here that people learn. Because, you know, just like you said, imagine if they spent that money on Kari Lake.
Right.
Man.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, both parties do this. Like Democrats spent $100 million trying to beat out Mitch McConnell 4 years ago, and then they spent like 80 million trying to unseat Lindsey Graham, and didn't even get close in either circumstance.
Yeah, let's not forget all the money that they spent on Beto.
Right. At least Beto was close. Beto got within 3.
Yeah.
Fucking James Harrison lost by 11 to a guy who even
Ugh.
Republicans don't like. Nobody likes Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Uh what was that? Yeah, so that's kind of the important part here. Mm-mm. I need to take a leak, guys. I'll be right back. Snacks. Don't get me in trouble.
I don't want to do anything.
Okay, I am back.
Bro, I actually did something so cool while you were gone.
Mm-hmm.
I actually used you to clean more of this wheel. Because, while you were gone, you were just AFK, like,
Yeah,
in that position like that.
right.
So I fucking used you to get huge chunks of this by pushing you around with the water gun.
I thought I'd been moved. Actually, I thought I
uh,
noticed that.
so I'm like, man, that's efficiency right there.
Mm-hmm. And the other cope that I've seen from like leftists on X and shit is saying that if Sotomayor steps down now, there's time to appoint her replacement before Trump takes office.
Oh my god. I should try it. That would be hilarious. Because if she steps down, you can't undo it. So if it ends up not going fast enough, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, the other thing
You got,
is, and this is my theory, they know they don't have the votes. Manchin already said that he wouldn't approve it, and Cinema very likely has said something similar.
yeah. The mansion should get the fucking Presidential Medal of Freedom at this point.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
they can only afford one defection, and Manchin's already said he would. He actually said, and who knows if he meant it, that if there were any SCOTUS openings in 2024 for any reason, I would not vote to confirm a new justice.
Based.
um, so yeah.
That's fucking based.
So Sotomayor, I think she's about 70 years old and she has type 1 diabetes. I feel like she'll be good for a little while, though. I don't think that'll come back and bite them, but I mean, diabetes, it's not cancer, but it's not fun.
Yeah. Um it's all perfectly valid. But what else is valid is to be fair,
Hmm.
they did murder Scalia. So I feel like we should get at least something in compensation.
And I guess there was this stuff from, I think it started from Elizabeth Warren saying like there are currently X number of vacated spots in the judiciary in this state, and there are open judge spots at that place. I'm like, how do you guys keep letting these spots sit vacant? Like that's what happened when Trump came in. So many like God, what do they call like justices across the country had
Mhm.
left or retired or died or whatever and never been replaced. So Trump immediately got to inject like hundreds of young conservative justices into the judiciary for like 2 years unchecked. Well, it's like, why
Um,
do you fuckers keep letting those spots stay open?
they do that on purpose because they keep thinking that they're going to win.
Hmm.
So they keep it open on purpose because they're all like, here, we're going to have a ton of new openings for Kamala to fill. Oops. You know, it was just like when he first got in. We have a ton of new openings for Hillary to fill. Oops. And it's because they use those positions to pay off people who've helped them out. You know, that's when that's when you do the back scratching. After you've been elected, now it's time
Hmm.
to help out the people who got you there. But then Trump gets in and he's all like, hey, look at that. A whole bunch of vacant openings that I can fill with people who actually care about the Constitution.
Hmm.
Let me just take care of this right away because I didn't have to get bribed in order to, or bribe anybody in order to get here. So, you know, since I'm not beholden to anybody else, let me just actually represent the people who voted for me. What a novel concept. Oh man, I saw this reaction image online. I have to show you this one. This is amazing.
Okay, so I'm not what is this? Like I know Swalwell's an idiot, but I'm surprised he would actually post something like that. That's like something I would do on AOL Instant Messenger when I was 12. And what the hell does he think is so funny anyway? Nikki Haley getting into the Trump administration would have been good for you.
Yeah,
Oh, mhm.
yeah, I don't know why he would. I mean, come on, bro. Just LOL. Just that you only need one.
Yeah. Now she gets to go be a consultant for some corporation and make a ton of money over the next few years. Trust me,
Yeah.
she's okay.
Actually, the reaction image that I posted is a very fitting reaction to that.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually. I don't know what you're talking about, Origin. Actually.
what happened?
No, he asked me about something that I guess happened today, and I did not know that it happened today.
No.
No, me and well, I mean, I told him that. Well, no, I told him that we just shouldn't do a show this week. He didn't invite me because we do a show every because we do a show every week. He texted me asking me if I thought we should do the Thursday show, and I said no. Our show's more of a preview show, and we can't preview a game that is going to be played in 10 days. So it makes sense that he would go then collab with Seahawks YouTubers that he does not know and doesn't work with as much because it's the bye week, and that's what you do during the bye week. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
that
really a
makes sense.
crossover. I mean, like if it's me and him, it's not a crossover because we do that every week. But yeah, no, I actually didn't even know he was doing that today. But no, that's cool. Was it Filoki? Everyone wants to know if Filoki's still alive. If Filoki could tell everybody that he's alive in a crossover stream with Brandon, that would be great. Like people legitimately think that guy died
Good heavens. Why?
because he was a Seahawks YouTuber who was kind of starting to make his way up, and one day out of nowhere he just stops posting videos.
Just vanished. Yeah. Many such cases. Yeah. Some folks they just got they just had something happen and then kind of drop off the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the HBO show Band of Brothers, there's a character, Private Blythe, and I think like the third episode. At the end of the episode, they're like, Private Blythe was killed in action from the wounds that he received at the end of this episode. But that didn't happen. The guy lived until he was like in his 80s. But just what happened is that he got wounded, like happened at the end of the episode, and the wound was bad enough where they sent him home. So because he just never kept in contact with anybody, because I mean he's a fucking 19-year-old kid, and they just sent him home. He's just gonna live his life. But since they didn't hear anything back from him, everyone just assumed that he died. Which, considering the
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, it's not a horrible thing to assume, but yeah,
Yeah.
if you just never hear from somebody again.
Now, Jalen Milroe is dog shit. I have zero interest in drafting Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe is like garbage. No, no, hell no. He's like gonna be. He's gonna be like the poor man's Anthony Richardson, and yes, that statement is as derisive as it sounds. At that point, just trade the pick for Anthony Richardson. At least then you're getting somebody with overwhelming talent. I mean, yeah, he's garbage, but if you fix him, you're getting a big reward out of it. Whatever pick you were going to use to draft Jalen Milroe with, just trade that pick for Anthony Richardson. Oh, really? Scarecrow? Okay. I guess that's about as confirmed as it can be.
But
Are you there?
yeah.
Okay. The white noise was like becoming ear piercing. It was weird.
I'm surprised that you were hearing white noise here instead of me saying stuff, because I had said stuff and you weren't reacting.
Huh.
What the hell?
Weird. Okay.
Well, you said something to Scarecrow Bar. You said that's as close to confirmed as whatever. I was like, what? What
I
happened?
didn't hear you say anything. I didn't hear it.
Oh, that's okay.
No, okay.
That.
So I guess if you go to Filoki's most recent video, there are a bunch of people commenting saying, "Hey, where'd you go?" And then there's a guy who says he's Filoki's friend and he did die in a vehicle accident.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I mean this happened. I mean this would have happened a few years ago, but or maybe a couple years ago.
Well, that's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So remember that the picture of Kamala and she's got the fucking glass of wine right next to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, can you at least take it out of the fucking picture?
Yeah. Well, apparently, as a news report, that was not her first glass of wine during that photo op.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of the day, she had a few choice words for some members of her campaign staff.
Mm-hmm.
Reportedly, she was heard to say, "I've been good to you, and you pay me back with nonstop aspirin." Well, fuck all of you. Oh man. I I love that Grok story that you sent me today. Or Shinji. Shinji was batting 1,000 against the pieces of bread.
I like it how at the end of the story the characters acknowledge everything happening is not making sense. Like that makes it okay.
Yeah. Oh man, love to see it. And good for Sheldon. He finally got a job in Trump's administration. Oh man, I hadn't even thought about it for a couple hours. I'm like, man, I shouldn't at all be surprised that I got flaked on, but I'm like, man, I still kind of am.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she genuinely was caught up in stuff. Like it sounds like this is it's not often she gets to see her father.
Yeah,
So who knows? But we'll see
yeah,
what happens.
yeah, I'm still just like, well, oh, now I can put my finger on why I'm upset because I had to think about it for a minute. I'm like, why am I bothered by this? I'm like, oh, because she never even bothered. She never even bothered to keep me appraised of what was going on. Just like, just waiting, waiting, waiting. Yeah, probably not gonna happen, I guess. She finally contacts me. It's like 9 o'clock.
Hmm.
And she's like, all right, yeah, I'm home now. And I'm all like, oh, yeah, yeah, you have a nice day. So, we talked about that for a while. And I'm like, yeah, so I guess you were just too busy, huh? And she's like, yeah, yeah, sorry. And I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
these things happen.
Yeah, I seriously hope there are cases all around this country of like elementary school teacher women who are dealing with their shit posting Gen Alpha and Gen Z kids, students being disrespectful to them ever since Trump got elected. I want to read the story about the 10-year-old kid who tells his teacher that she's going into the crystals and them trying to figure out what the fuck that means.
Oh, man. Some fucking gay ass teacher walks in, starts off, hello, children. My pronouns are they, them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an entire room full of base 10-year-olds. Like the little rascals, except Hillary Clinton's trying to put them all in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. You'd love to see it. Right. I don't know how the fuck I managed to get on top of this thing, but I'm on top of this thing. Let's go.
Well done.
right, it's the Marine Corps' birthday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Day before Veterans Day. November 10th. Yeah, some things at one point in your life are just so important to you that no matter where you end up going, how far you go, you'll just never be able to lose that part.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's Jack Poso on Twitter from about 20 minutes ago. Interesting point. There aren't any riots because the regime mega donors already spent over $1 billion on Kamala and she still went into debt. So he's basically saying they're out of money.
Oh, that's a perfect. No wonder the Democrats seem listless right now. Their supporters are saying so much shit, and yeah, we're not getting riots. Because all of that shit, they were just paid mercenaries, and we heard about that shit all the time. 4 years ago, and even further back during Trump's first term. And not only just how much money they pissed away on Kamala's losing campaign, but how much money they pissed away on so many things over the years. They're out of the Larry Fink money. I'm sure George Soros has been losing his ass. And then the same people who'd be paying to have rioters going crazy right now, well, they're in debt. And nobody's accepting IOUs right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're not only not getting riots, we're not even getting limp dick protests by women wearing the weird little hats.
Mm-hmm.
That's an incredibly encouraging thing to think about, because everything that we're seeing right now is real, true, genuine, grassroots, actual people with their opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And it pretty much reflects exactly what just happened, which is that there's hardly anybody even trying to do any of that shit. We are the majority, silent no longer, and they're going in the crystals. Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I'm glad you brought it up, because that's a major white pill right there. Because a lot of people have been thinking, oh man, there's going to be some crazy bullshit. It's like, they can't do it. They can't. They don't have the money. And all
Yeah.
along they've been paying people to do this shit, so they're not going to do it for free.
Yeah, as it turns out, all the right wing needed to do was get their own George Soros. Except their George Soros has like 20 times the amount of money as the real George Soros.
Yeah. And we've been fighting them so hard on so many different subjects that we bankrupted these pieces of shit, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a huge white pill.
Hmm.
No wonder the Dems are just fracturing right now. They don't have any financial support either. They're busy just trying to figure out who to point fingers at.
Like when you may have already seen this. When she went on the Call Her Daddy podcast, she couldn't travel to where
Mhm.
they do their podcast. So the hosts traveled to her.
Mm,
So her campaign had to build a one use set just for that podcast that cost over $100,000.
Jesus, what a waste.
And like the set, you can easily look it up, but it's just a room with like some bookshelves and chairs and a coffee table between the chairs. It's like I could have gotten that done for a few $1,000s at IKEA.
Yeah, you could have just gotten a fucking hotel room
Hmm.
from the sounds of it. Man, that is sad.
And Trump didn't spend anything to go on Rogan.
Yep.
Also,
And he
apparently,
reached
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he reached so many people that fuck man, Rogan should have been paying him. Like
Hmm.
he didn't have to spend a dime on that shit. That's just wild.
But yeah, the funny thing is, it's also been revealed that she had to pay Oprah $1 million for the endorsement, and
Wow.
apparently, pretty much all of the endorsements she got had to be paid for. And I'm like, this is so weird. What do you think the Oprah endorsement is going to do that is worth $1 million? And why does Oprah need $1 million to do something that she's apparently very passionate about?
That's an even better question. Yeah, why did Oprah need to be paid to do that? It's not like she was in danger of endorsing Trump, or was she? Like, oh my god, did Trump fucking pull off some crazy fucking Scott Adams level hypnosis where he was threatening to bribe various celebrities to have them endorse him?
Hmm.
So Kamala panicked and outbid him.
That'd be hilarious.
Oh man.
Because I'm just going to make a guess here. I don't think Donald Trump paid Hulk Hogan anything for the
Yeah.
RNC speech.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because Hulk Hogan similarly is an amazing businessman, and he's all like, "Holy shit, I'm gonna make so much money by doing this! Like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna get so many people to watch my YouTube channel and listen to my podcast and start buying some of my merchandise again, just because I showed up and did one last fucking rip my shirt moment to talk about something that I would have talked about for free anyway."
Didn't Hulk
So yeah.
Hogan have this daughter that was in the news back, like, I want to say 20 years ago? He was like a singer or something?
Yeah, he was trying to leverage his own success in show business to get his daughter going too, because she, like many young women, wanted to be a professional singer.
Hmm.
So he tried, and they had a minor reality TV show for a while, but the ratings just weren't there. So that's not something you can do indefinitely if you have no talent, and she didn't really have any talent, so kind of floundered. But
Right.
yeah, that did happen though.
Hmm.
I mean, I think when he had the famous tape where he said the N-word that got him unpersoned for a few years, I think he was actually talking to his daughter in that recording. And he wasn't even telling his daughter not to date a black guy either. He was just saying, if you're gonna, make sure it's a guy with money. So everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's racist." And I'm like, guys, Hulk Hogan is a millionaire. Why would he not have an opinion like that? You're focusing too much on the race part. What you need to be focusing on is he's telling his daughter, if you're gonna be with a guy, make sure he has money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the recording, yeah, he said the N-word, but I mean, still.
I mean, that's the thing you can't get away with, right? Like, that overrides literally everything else.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people on the left are convinced that Trump will not make it a year and Vance will be taking over in, like, fucking by Thanksgiving 2025.
Because they're coping and molding really hard that, oh, well, Trump is unhealthy and he's old and he's gonna croak any second. And it's just more of this projection shit where, like, the right was winning on talking about how incredibly unhealthy Biden was looking and super old and shit. So it's like, well, Trump's old too, and he's gonna croak any second. It's like, dude. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the guy lived to 120 or some shit, like.
And they keep posting this one video of when he was doing the garbage man thing. Apparently, he stumbled a little bit as he was opening the door to the truck. And people are like, this guy can't even open a door to a truck. Like, dude, he slipped back for a second. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's also tiresome.
Exactly. Like, I remember when they were freaking out over the way that he was drinking out of a water bottle once. Remember that? Yeah. If I hyper focused on every little fucking thing Biden did over the last 4 years, I wouldn't have made it. I would have just fucking roped by now. So I don't know why they're trying to do it with Trump. Like, if it bugs you that much, just try to fucking focus on winning next time and, make your life as good as you possibly can in the meantime. And I don't know why the fuck they're breaking out some, oh my God, things are going to be so bad. I'm like, oh no, you might have to get a job. What a horrible thing. Biden comes into office and my career in construction died after I'd been trying for nearly 5 years to get that shit going. Cry me a fucking river. People are telling me now, they're like, oh well, there's construction work now. Why don't you think about going back? And I'm like, yeah. After I had to pawn off my tools to survive during COVID, after I've already picked up a shitload of student loan debt because I went back to college for 3 years already. What a great idea.
Sometimes the world leaves you behind.
Exactly.
Which at this point for me, I think is starting to become a little bit of a legitimate fear. Like, I will probably end up being out of a job for a year, and that like that gap in your resume may end up being toxic to me. Hopefully not. We'll see.
I don't think it should because of when it happened. If you had that year gap in your resume in 2018, it would have raised some serious eyebrows. But people are going to look back on that and remember that Biden was in office, and that's pretty much all you're going to have to say. You're going to be like, well, that was you remember how bad the Biden economy was? And they're going to be, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm I am positive it won't hurt you like you're thinking, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of other people are going through the exact same thing right now.
Right.
And you know, that's another thing, is that companies are trying to prey off of specifically that fear. Because they want to be like, they want to hire you with your qualifications for a $60,000 a year salary.
Right.
And you're like, well, hey, you know, it's not nothing, but that's a substantial pay cut compared to my last job. And they're like, well, it's either that or nothing. So,
I
okay, you,
I would not mind doing that as long as I got insurance. Like that's the thing that has me feeling some degree of urgency right now.
yeah, I
It's
can understand
not
that.
being insured because I'm an incredibly stupid person who hurts myself constantly.
uh, that's one way to describe it.
Ah.
The map's saying we're 90% done now, but I still feel like we have like fucking
Mm-hmm.
so much left to do. My God, there's so much mess still.
We'll get there. Man, it's only 12:30. It feels much later.
Yeah, another feeling.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Well, you know what I was surprised to learn was on Hulu. Every season of Digimon is on Hulu.
Oh, really? Dub
I
or
did
sub?
not expect that. Both.
Oh.
I was not expecting to see that.
Does that even include like the later ones? Like the fusion and fucking what was the other one called? Ghost Game?
Um, I'm not sure. Everything that was made at least before the 2020 remake stuff that they started doing.
Oh, okay. That means okay, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was shocked by it.
Mm. It used to be I remember watching that on YouTube. I remember when you just watched anime on YouTube. You'd had whole episodes uploaded to YouTube and it was okay.
Yeah, those were the golden days. So I watched Naruto for years.
Hmm.
It was such a weird concept to have to pay some subscription fee to watch shit that was on YouTube for free.
Hmm.
Oh, we didn't know how good we had it. Of course, to be fair, that was back during the days when Obama was president and no one had a job, so that's why it was such a weird concept to have to pay for content. No one can afford that. I saw Razorfist had a post today. I really liked it because I've seen a lot of people embracing this meme of because Biden wanted Kamala to lose, he was secretly our guy the whole time. So let's actually embrace the dark Brandon stuff for us now,
Yeah.
and rewrite history that actually Biden was cool the whole time. And Razor was all like, it's a great meme and everything, and I have been enjoying it, and it has been really funny, but reality check, guys. And then he listed a bunch of the really awful shit that Biden's been responsible for that has caused so much damage and harm to our country. And he's all like, this is not the guy that you want to be caping up for right now, guys. Memes are memes. They're not reality. And I'm like, I'm glad you said it because I've noticed a ton of this, and I'm like, I really hope people are not trying to redeem this guy, The furthest I'd go is him receiving a pardon in exchange for his cooperation. Like if we got the man himself to come out and say, "Oh yeah, they definitely rigged it for me. By the way, here's how." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, there's your pardon, and now fuck off into the sunset. I don't like you, but there you go. You just sit on a beach for like the next 6 months until you croak. There you go, kid." I really don't understand people even celebrating today because that FEMA employee who was telling her people not to help houses that had Trump signs
Yeah.
in their yard
Right.
got fired. So because she was fired, everyone's celebrating. Now, yeah, she got fired. And I'm like, fired? That's all you guys wanted? Fired. Okay.
Wait until the new Congress is in cycle before you make any moves, I guess.
Yeah.
Give her just enough time to flee the country, unfortunately, but,
Yeah. That does suck, but just the rest of FEMA will be paying for her sins in due time. But I'm just really glad that FEMA actually didn't deny it, because it's like, okay, so now we have one confirmed case of this kind of bullshit happening, so, it doesn't take a genius to figure that there might be more than one. Then you start wondering about all the other fucking cases that happened. This was just in Florida. It's all like, okay, what happened in North Carolina? What happened in Tennessee?
Wonder if Ben Carson does anything this time around. Wonder because he's never held public office, has he? Outside
No,
of the urban development thing.
no. That was the limit. I don't think he wants to do anything. He might have gotten involved, and he did what he did, and he put in good service and everything. But he's like, you know what? That wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. So, I'm good. I'm just gonna retire, be with family now.
Because he's reliable, is the thing, right?
He is definitely.
Like he's
Let me
somebody who
check.
will never betray him. And there is value in that, but I haven't heard his name much since the election.
Well, he was campaigning for him,
Mhm.
and he's made a couple of rounds on media saying that Trump won and he did great.
Mhm.
Let me see this here.
Mm. Yeah, another bit of cope that I've seen over the last couple days is, I guess 4 hours before the election got called for Trump, Elon Musk
Mm-hmm.
was looking at his phone, and then he left the celebration party because he's like, "We already won. It's already over." Like he saw something, and then he
Yeah.
said, "It's over. We've won." 4 hours before the networks called it, and people are using this as cope that, like, oh, see, they cheated. He knew he was good before it even all the polls closed. So Elon Musk was
Yeah.
pumping the computers full of fake votes, and he was doing it on his phone.
Well, we did tell you that those Dominion voting machines were unreliable, and
Mm-hmm.
you just didn't listen. No, but I mean for real, yeah. Like you said, that's obviously cope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's not sit there and pretend that the candidates don't have internal polling that is far more accurate than what people are seeing in the
Mm-hmm.
news. In addition to the fact that these people are listening to us flop like Ann Seltzer +3 for Kamala in Iowa, and they
Mm-hmm.
think that that's reality. Oh, no wonder we lost. Elon was cheating the whole time, so that's why all the polls were wrong. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, and he was probably just looking at like early vote data combined with turnout in the rurals versus the suburbs versus the urban areas, and was like, yeah, this is over.
Yeah, he was looking at that. Plus, by then, well, that was 4 hours before it was called.
So like
Um,
6 o'clock our time approximately.
okay, so 6 our time is after we're already getting some results coming in on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would not at all be surprised if by that time, because like it was about an hour later, North Carolina got called,
Mm-hmm.
and North Carolina was, it was a cope that they were going to get it, but everything else was going really good for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia was looking really good. Pennsylvania at the time, Harris was in the lead, but her Philadelphia results, where she needed to make up a lot of ground and a lot of work, were horrible and way below expectations. So it was like she's in the lead right now, but they haven't counted, rural areas yet. Trump was already closing in that lead. So that was all, he was probably just getting a text something along those lines of, yeah, we've pretty much already won North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, and once it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no reality where she flips any of the states that even the polling the polls were saying were safe for Trump. Like, the colossal fucking gigacope of how long it took to call the election for him, because they're like, Alaska's not done counting yet.
Mm-hmm. Right. Honestly, once Loudoun County was moved 9 points Republican since 4 years ago,
Yeah.
that was like, I think, the clear sign that okay, good things are about to happen.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, yeah, Elon, he was pumping the V, he was manipulating, and blah, 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 it was all fake, and they blah, blah, blah. It's like, really? Trump got a little bit more, but very nearly the same amount of votes as he got in the previous election. You just got tens of millions less, and
Mm-hmm.
that tells you that it's been faked. Well, you're right. There was some faking going on, but it was for last time, which is why you're so confused about where all those votes went.
Mm-hmm.
Not this time. That is
Yeah.
really funny though.
Like, I think Loudoun County is the wealthiest county in the
Yes, yeah,
country.
yes, that is correct. Because it's where a lot of the swamp creatures live, and its proximity to DC, it's
Mm-hmm.
also where a lot of corporate headquarters are based. and a lot of top executives for various multinational corporations live there too,
Mm-hmm.
or they're at least have that place registered as their official address. So all that drives that average salary way up. So it's the highest in the entire country in Loudoun County, Virginia.
Right.
It's a beautiful place, and it is a genuine shame that the Democrats have fucked that place to pieces. But they lost, and I'm sorry, but the statues of General Lee are coming back. Let's go. You may even get tired of winning. Mr. Trump, no, please, it's too much. It's too much winning. He obviously did not cheat, but it would genuinely be the funniest thing if he did. After they did in 2020. But I'm just sitting here thinking how, like, what exactly do they think happened?
They think Elon used Starlink. Something like
Yeah,
that.
I, uh,
I don't fucking know.
I know, I know.
And
'Cause I'm,
it doesn't matter
the
because
whole
they're not willing
reason,
to fight it.
right? And yeah, that too. So I'm sitting here like, we still have ongoing court cases regarding the 2020 election literally taking place.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't just fucking roll over and die on that one, but they're just rolling over and dying on this one if they think it's real that
Mm-hmm.
they cheated, and they're just let's just peacefully cede power to the guys that fucking cheated. Okay, great idea. Like I'm sitting there laughing, with all that kind of shit because I'm all like, what did we have last time? We literally had footage of vote counting inside uh, a precinct in Michigan. And they're putting up plywood on the windows right after they kick out only the Republican poll watchers. And they're putting up plywood in the windows, and everybody just let that shit happen too. I'm sitting there like I probably would have gotten arrested because if I was a poll watcher and they kick me and all the other Republicans out, and then they start putting up plywood in the windows, I'm gonna start fighting people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how the fuck they just let that happen, but whatever. Better timeline that it happened, I guess.
Come on.
What does this one say? Conveyor bike handlebars? There's a conveyor bike?
Oh, I see it. I got it. There you go.
Okay. And mechanical arm, boxed platform, handrails, and posts. Okay, I see it. Mechanical arm box. Then wall arch lights and wall pipes. That's specific.
Come on. No, I don't see nothing here.
Wall arch lights. What arch? Oh, I see.
All right. We did it. So
Are there any maps left of
I
Shrek?
think there's one more, but I'm not sure. We'll see when this is done. Yes, Dragon's Lair. It's fairly big, so we're definitely not going to be able to do that tonight.
Oh
I,
wow.
I will open it up,
Yeah.
but um, you'll spawn in a second and see that it's substantial.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is the obviously supposed to be where.
The dragon is.
Although, yeah, I feel giant. Cool. Anyway, yeah, let me shut it down.
All right, I will shut it down then too. Okay,
I
guys.
Alt F forward.
I am gonna go and get out of here. Thank you for coming out. See you guys tomorrow. Have fun watching football.
We